What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and welcome to another ACG Unrated, where I take a look at a game I'm not going to have a chance to review, or isn't really complete enough to review, walk you through the various gameplay elements, the graphical elements, audio elements, all the options, and we just discuss the game. The last one I did on this was The Outer Wilds. If you get a chance, maybe check it out. So without further ado, let's jump into this. This game is Griftlands. It is by Klei Entertainment. Those are the creators of games like Invisible Ink and Don't Starve, Oxygen Not Included, Mark of the Ninja, Shank 1 and 2, and a couple other games. And it really is basically a card battle game. This one has a couple unique elements, including two types of battle, your overall verbal battle and as well as a normal battle system. And you have different cards within those that do different things, as well as different classes of cards. The game is only in alpha right now and basically starts you out with one character story out of 3 that you'll be able to choose as you move forward. And I think we can all see right now that it does have a banner saga style of graphical look to it. Also, when this originally was announced, it was a different style of game, but they did choose to go this route with it. So that's pretty much what we're taking a look at today. And remember, if you like the video, maybe subscribe, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't. Let's jump into it. First thing we're going to look at is, one of the things I like about this is it shows you a little mini tutorial. You can choose to see battle or negotiation tutorials at any time. That's something that's actually very cool, especially as you go forward in the game. So jumping into the options, you've got your gameplay. You've got a fast and a normal speed for the game. I would suggest you play it on normal speed, because if you play it on, even on normal, the game has a tendency to go very fast with card selection on the enemies, even if you have 2 or 3. You also have a confirming card selection. I find this option fairly redundant. It's one click to choose to use the card or double click, but the thing is you have to sort of drag the cards up anyway to use them. When it comes to the graphics, I'm not really impressed here. You got full screen and not, and that's it. You don't really have any other style. You do have the ability to adjust not only your resolution, but your max target render, which does allow you to keep a full screen, but push that overall rendering resolution down if you want to. Now, here's something interesting to me. The bloom off and on, it actually looks terrible on. As you can see there, I honestly, the first time I checked this out, thought that there was something wrong with the recording and went back and looked and saw this bloom. It really blurs out a lot of things. They suggest it stays on. I would suggest you try it on, but most likely you're going to want to turn that off as you go forward. And then level of detail, low and high. It's really sort of depressing that they don't have more options, but we do see it in these style of games where you don't see a lot of graphical options. So not a lot to choose there. When you look at the audio options, I was actually pleasantly surprised. You have your master, your music, your voice, sound effects, but there's something interesting here. Not only does it tell you every single thing those audio levels adjust, but when you go into the sounds, you can actually adjust the ambient, the action sounds, the card playing sound effects, and the volume of the user interface itself, like the clicks and all that kind of thing. That is actually very helpful in a game like this, as anybody who's played a game like this, depending on what you want to hear and don't hear, how you're playing it, or you sort of relax playing it, or you really paying attention, you may want to adjust some of those sounds, especially card sounds have a tendency to get really clacky in the background, and the ability to turn that down is actually cool. And then you have your metrics, which allows for you to send data to Klei Entertainment. I don't know what data they're sending, so I just turned that off. Overall, I would say options-wise, not a lot of them. I would have liked some more. You can't adjust difficulty or anything like that here in the alpha either. So we're going to jump into the play section. Now, when you play, you're able to actually choose one of these characters from the start, as you can see, the coming soon, so you can't adjust those. You are able to go to other saves. There's 3 of them, but we went into a brand new game. This basically tells you the card unlocks you have, basically the card decks. That's just a little glance at them. It shows you the outfit you start out with and the prestige. Now this, as far as I understand, when you get these new characters, this will matter also the farther you go in the game. You can also see a quick look at your negotiation and your battle cards. Each color is different. You have your hostility, which is red, your purple, which are manipulative, and then your green, which are diplomacy. One of the things I liked about this is if you read, everything actually fits together, and in fact, there's this very cool little bit of onomatopoeia that goes on here where you understand what the card is going to do by the very name. It's a little bit less fanciful than some other games where you're sort of trying to figure out exactly what it may do. So when you capture more manipulation cards, most of the titles of the cards sort of give some kind of cool narrative indicator of what they do, which I very much liked. Also, all of the cards are going to tell you what they do just by hovering over them. You can see they cost 1 action, which is the one in the top left. And then on the right, they'll show you not only the indicator of the damage that they do, but many times a range, 1 to 3, as you can see. But then you'll have things like influence. All diplomacy cards deal maximum damage. Those kind of things will actually end up popping up. They're basic stuff that we see in a lot of card battle games, so it's not going to be too surprising. The wording will be. On the right, you see Preview Upgrade. Now, Preview Upgrade, all of the cards as they're used end up getting experience points for them and then can be upgraded later. One thing I did not like is there isn't an elegant way of understanding what they're going to upgrade to, at least that I've seen so far. It just says from a random pool of cards. It would have been nice to understand what cards were going to upgrade to what, and I don't know. I did read somewhere that there might be some kind of system where you can see that, but I was not able to find it. Jumping into combat cards, you have your basic attack and you have your maneuver cards. These are in some way a little bit like the diplomacy, where you have your 2 different groups, and of course you have your action total that it's going to require. You have 3 per turn normally, so you can play 3 of the 1-point cards and so forth. Some are 0, you'll see those. Included on these are your status updates, like your combo, your expend, your bleed, your destroy. You'll see all of those. It's all very easy. You just hover over it and you see it. This is, once again, nothing special when it comes to card battle games, but I did want to cover it. You have your filter abilities in your top right, which allows you to not only filter by the actual card type, but also what cards are going to be upgraded and so forth. So we'll go ahead and give this a start.
Your revenge so many times. But what if she gets you first? What if someone else does? But you scratch those thoughts out like lines on the paper. You're here for Cascio. That's the only way this story ends.
And this is basically the main screen. This is what you'll see whenever you're talking to people, whenever you're investigating locations or talking. You'll have different elements that you can see in all of the corners. It's fairly clean, a little bit dirty when it comes to the way the narrative goes, but I'll explain that in a bit. So by hovering over, you can see what your character has, as well as their money, their health, and then you also have the resolve. Resolve is the health or hit points that you use when you're battling people with negotiation. You have the ability to view relationships. This is very cool because the game ends up taking these into account. You have people who love you, like you, dislike you, or hate you. They give you bonuses, boons, and banes depending on what occurs. And then they also tell you the reason. This is going to be very important later on when, if you end up siding with one character and not another, and maybe end up killing somebody that's their friend, you can actually see that they hate you. And they will give you banes. They will give you negatives to things like their group attacking you more and so forth. There's a lot of narrative going on in the game. Then you have the graft slots. These are your typical injected slots that you have where you find items in the game world, your equipment slots. And you have your ability to see both decks as well. These are always viewable. Once again, you can pause it at any time and you can go back and watch tutorials. The tutorials aren't the greatest. They explain some basic elements, but not all of them. Also, by looking here on the lower right, you can see who this person is, that they like you, and also what group they belong to. So very cool overall, or where they are. It seems to work. Hovering over these underlined elements always tell you who they're talking about, which I really like. They do use a sort of a fake alien language that works pretty well because it's not just like, a lot of games where you push a button, it's like, huh, ah, that kind of thing. It's not like that. So I sort of dig their language. Let's listen to it. Of course, with any game, you would probably want full-on voice. You don't get it, but at least they say a little bit more. Now, for coming home, you get some items. You can have an upgrade, a negotiation card, draft 2 battle cards, or get add a negotiation craft slot to the actual, or graft slot to the actual character. I'm gonna choose the graft slot, so now I have 4 and 3. So that's pretty cool. That just means if I continue the game, you can see now that I've got that 4th slot. And you can talk to them, you can get some data about the game. There's some exposition in this first day. You sort of talk to different people. I really do like that you can see anything about the game world underlined and just hover over it. Anything that's in that special font, which gives you data about the game world and sort of helps it be explained. In this game world, you have various different groups. It's sort of a post-apocalyptic because you have your laser guns, your normal weapons, and then you also have bladed weapons. So it's this mix. But it starts to explain to you this overall Commonwealth. They're called the Admiralty, and they're basically a militant force who runs most of everything. And then you have your underlying groups, clans, and so forth that you end up finding about. I actually like this. There was a good deal of exposition here that sort of identifies and tells you about the Admiralty. It tells you about the religious groups, and it tells you about the criminal groups as well here. You can just see by underlining it. Loosely organized collection of bandits. So it just gives you a little bit of data. It also gives you some data about your character, which you find out you basically come back after some time in prison or in their version of jail. I also have to say, I'm digging the overall art style. I'm a Banner Saga freak. I really like that kind of art style. And I love the aliens in this. They do a lot of different aliens, by the way. You're going to see different various groups, and you're going to have to sort of identify who's who, because you don't have the alien group that's like the Trade Federation where they all sort of look the exact same. It's not like that here. You can have different aliens being on different groups, which is very cool. It all sort of works out. So this is just indicating that because you've paid off your debts at the Derrick, you're now sort of have a surname, Ik Derrick. I don't know if that's pronunciation, but and it all runs really well. Obviously, you can run this at 4K. You can run it performance-wise. This thing's leveled out. You're not going to have any issues with performance overall, at least on a PC. 970s, 980s, people are running this fine at really high resolutions. So far, it doesn't seem to be one of those games that really pushes the system very hard. At least it hasn't for any of my systems, both normal and test. So here we're just talking. We're going to work through this. I worked off a lifetime's debt in 2 years just so I could get back here and settle that score. This character goes through the fact that they knew your parents, and I really do enjoy that they say, your parents were pretty decent people, please don't turn out like them, which is sort of cool. So that's why you ended up getting a place to stay, and you ended up getting some items. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk to them about themselves and find out what they've got for jobs. So you can see there's 3 jobs, Chaco, Grunjax, and Kadwa. They're easy people to find. So we'll go to the main map here in a second. And at this location, you can also eat and drink different foods to give you health and resolve back, but we'll discuss that in a second. So here's your overland map, and you basically top right and top left have a replication of overall that data that you normally have. And by hovering over the different elements, you can see not only the focus, like negotiation or battle, but also the general difficulty. Almost all of the missions have a starting bonus, like basically the character sort of giving you some kind of bonus as you start out, and then it also outlines your what you get for that reward. Bonus money, 55 shills you can see here. So let's do one. I like to sort of eat away one of the elements first, whether it be your diplomacy and your resolve and those kind of battles, or your combat. Whenever you go in and you do both, it becomes difficult. But we'll try that here and just see, because the last time I tried this didn't work out too well. Oh, this is a random encounter. As you can see, another alien race, a frog-like dude. Looks like he wants to wager us. No, I don't need to do that. So let's go to... This popped us out. Yeah, combat negotiation. So this will be a mix, is what they're saying. You enter this place. You can see various icons above their heads. One of them is a shield. That means they actually protect the place and will fight for anybody if you decide to fight them. You can see that guy's shield. There's the job. Some places sell you stuff, others don't. He doesn't. There you can see, guards this location, which can make places difficult if you want to battle guys. And there's a guard there. All right, let's get the job. Yeah, you can see their rewards. So basically what they're saying is I've got an opportunity. They need a spree to help them out, which is one of the different groups. They're Admiralty, as you can tell by their suit and the way they're... So basically this is sort of like a cop wanting to do a dirty deal. So we'll accept it. We get to choose a card to add. You've got, Let's look at expand one chosen in your hand. That's a good card. Draw 3, deal 1 damage per combo. It's a little less useful at this time. Draw 3 cards. I'm a freak for drawing cards. I've always liked that in games. Each one of these is actually useful. Combo points you get, and then you can spend in your battles. I'm gonna do the draw 3 cards. I'm such a freak for drawing cards. I love that. I like that you can negotiate for a better deal here, so we're gonna do it. And I'm gonna let you guys listen to the actual tutorial for this. It's just a couple seconds.
Each turn, you draw 5 cards from the draw pile and use action points to play them. You win a negotiation by destroying your opponent's core resolve. Your resolve carries over between negotiations. If you have no resolve, you can no longer negotiate. Your opponent's intents for the next turn are shown in their inner ring. You and your opponent can deploy arguments to help win the negotiation. Arguments can be attacked or defended like the core resolve.
So that's that. Like I said, it's not incredibly detailed, but it does give you the basics, and I'll explain the rest. So you've got your core resolve. He has a lot of arguments around him. His look like bounties, which will end up doing, let's see, his intent, bonus count. When destroyed, add 77 shills to your bonus. So what happens is by destroying these, you get money. You can choose to do that by basically choosing to sort of talk him out of cash. And then you can see above my core resolve of 36, you can see that he's going to do 4 damage right away. And you can also tell that by looking at his intents, which is the inner circle. So you have your outer circle, which is your core resolve for each character, and their arguments, their main arguments, and their inner, which is their intent. My cards are pretty good. Their damage, you got threaten. We're going to do that. We're going to start... so I can attack his arguments, as you can see, and destroy them. Their health is underneath them to get more money. But I'm going to just show you guys winning right away. Ooh, only did 1 point. Like I said, those are range. There we go. So there was a low range and a high range on that. And I love the little narrative. You better listen. Let me tell you something. They all have something to do with whatever you do. So if you do a threaten one, you'll be angry and so forth. You can see the cards I've got left in my pool. And you can also see the actions. I've spent 3. Each of those cards was 1 point. You can see their discard. So we'll go ahead and end this. And let's watch what they do. All right, so they did the 4 main points, but they also ended up giving me an argument on me. That's planted evidence. When that argument is dismissed, deal 2 damage to the owner's core argument. So when they destroy this, as you can tell, they're all going to try to attack it. It adds a +2 to whatever rollover damage. You can see 4 and 2-4. Those won't stop just because I have that card up. It'll just do those damages to it first. So that's why they're trying to attack it. You can see where they're aiming, and the enemy is aiming at that. So because that'll cause a little spillover damage. And as you can see, I just skipped that turn so you can see those. So that rollover damage happened. They destroyed it, injected another one, and got a +2 for damage. That also, due to their arguments, added a little 2 on top of their core resolve, and that 2 is damage that I will have to deal before doing any damage to their core. It's inspiration, basically. It's like a little bit of mental defense. So attacking that argument, I got them to do less damage because that argument did some damage. So I just wanted to destroy it. 25-3. Just going to show you some extra stuff since it's not going to matter. You can see them attacking. It actually states who's attacking what, which I really like. Gives you all your indicators. So I'm going to just try to kill them, and boom. Now boom. Jeez. You always got to watch that shield. So it does go very fast. You can see that even on normal, my resolve went down, as you can see, and that resolve doesn't go up unless I go and fix it. But it does go very fast on their side, so you got to watch very closely. And this isn't on fast. Because I negotiated, I do get a card at the end. I like these cards. All of them have something that really actually makes sense narratively. For example, if you look at know-it-all, you gain 3 smarts and 2 vulnerability. It's sort of like a know-it-all. Maybe they do know it all, but the vulnerability here is that the resolve loss is increased by 1. So when an enemy does hit you, sort of when an enemy does figure out that you're a know-it-all, they'll do more damage to you. And I dig that. There's, in fact, in almost every card, there's something about them that makes just a little bit of narrative sense. Again, it's not the first time we've seen this in games, but I sort of liked it. Spend 2 influence, and you will deal 4 damage. You gain influence, of course, as you progress in any of these negotiation battles. So they've upped the price, and we'll accept that, and we will head out. So when you accept a mission, the other basic missions go away until you do the main mission. We'll jump in here. You can see the different icons. You've got a character you can buy a beer for. You've got Durno there with the shield, and that means he guards the spot, so you got to watch out in these locations. And the game will use that against you at times, where if you're out of resolve, let's say, so you can't argue with somebody, you may have to attack him. If he's in here, he'll defend him. So I'm going to present their overall deal. This is just me trying to talk them in to doing the battle, or to doing the deal. 25, 20. They're going to do 4 points total of damage right away. So, looking at my cards, I've got some pretty good cards. This one spins a card, and then one of the cards that I choose will be 0. So it's really allowing you to grab one specific type of card out of your deck and still use it without using an extra turn. Gain 2 dominance. That will end up doing more damage on hostility cards. And yeah, let's do inspiration. That makes the diplomacy cards do more. And then there's my brainstorm card. As you can tell, I like this, especially when starting out. Being able to draw 3 more cards can help out. So let's see. Fast talk. How do I want to play this out? Because they're sort of close to me, to be honest, and they get a lot of arguments. Gain 2 influence, expand. Yeah, that'll do 2. And then I get influence now. All diplomacy cards will instantly do max damage. So as you can see, my fast talk now is 3-3, not 1-3 anymore. So you want to stack those builders, just like most games, in there as quick as possible. I'm going to do as much damage as I can. I don't have any arguments I can pop up, and we'll end my turn. So they're going to do their damage. And, oh, they didn't have any arguments. All right, so they're going to do 4 points of damage with whatever they have right now on their card. We've got a hostility card, but we also have these diplomacies, which are still maxed out until that argument's destroyed. Somebody has to destroy it with 4 points of damage. So threaten does 1 to 4. Trying to see how to do these in step. I like the quick thinking cards, so I sort of like to improvise a card or pull a special. Gain 3 composure. I could gain 3 composure and heal myself up, which would make their damage only do 1. But I think I'm trying to see if I can get this to play out a little bit longer without getting in some kind of danger zone here, so I can show you guys some more of the mechanics. We'll go with... I've always liked these. All right, so... Debate does 1 to 2, gain 3 composure, apply 2 composure on a random friendly argument. That could help. What that would do is add 2 composure to my argument. But I'll choose the other one. All right, let's do 2. All right, let's see where that goes. I'm going to leave that composure, not worry about using it. All right. 6 to 21. All right, they've got their first argument out. Let's see what this does. Escalation. Increases count when a hostile card is played. Add 1 damage to all intents. All right, so you can see they're now doing 5 for their card instead of 4. This would normally be a 4. So I'm going to destroy that. And you can see that drop to 4. So now they're going to do 4 damage with whatever card's in their hand. And I can pretty much destroy them with my 2 cards. That's why that card is so friggin' important right here in these battles. Especially these early battles. Win as many as you can. Because it gets tough. So, I get to choose a negotiation card, a press. If this card dismisses an argument, gain 1 damage. Oh, that's good. Choose 1 of 4 arguments. Undo. That is a good card. Yeah, let's hold that one. I dig the sound effects and music, so I'm just going to let you listen to that for a second. I think they did a really good job with the ambient elements in all of these areas. Also, your character, when they talk, it's far left on your stereo separation, the other character on the far right. It does a good job sort of separating everything. You can turn those ambient sounds up or down, but I think it works out pretty well. So when I did this deal, they basically said they didn't want to meet the character, which is what I agreed with. So they said, instead of going alone, this mission is now extended, and the character wants me to get paid. I'm going to have to basically go with them to this meeting that I set up, because I was really supposed... You can't do it, but you were really supposed to make the deal without them meeting up. And ambushed, so we'll get to see the battle. You can see 2 versus 2 now. And you can see... Whoa! Okay, so you can see that they've got a lot of status elements. And let's see, they've got Last Stand. Last Stand, gain 3 power. So they both will gain power when they are low health. They're going to do a ton of damage to my character, the person I'm with. You can also see this character will gain 4 defense at the end of the turn due to having the chitness ability. So, looking here, I have fairly generic cards. What I may do is I may just load up this character on defense. So, I could take up to 9 points of damage away. This character, the purple, they have skittish, which means they'll panic if I surrender, which makes sense since I'm the leader. And they also have cripple, which adds an injury card to enemies, which lowers their attack. You can see everybody's going to attack me. And here with this bar, you can see red indicates normal attacking, yellow indicates defense, and white panic. So that indicates that both these characters will panic if I do damage to them. So I've loaded up 9 defense. And they did 4 points in cripple. That character did none. That character inflicted cripple. And you can see the difference between the star and the normal cripple signature, indicating that one is their own ability to cause it, and the other is a status effect on them. So, that was not bad at all. They're going to do 4 points of damage to me in some way. What we'll probably do is take out the main character. Most likely, the other guy will... I don't know if the story will have them retreat or not when we take out the main character, but I think we will. We're going to use a card here to draw, let's see, hammer. Oh, I love bleed. So what we're going to do is do bleed. Bleed, of course, does your damage continually. So we're going to apply 2 points of damage and 2 points of bleed to them. Stab. And another stab. Those aren't bad cards, to be honest. All right. So I'm still going to get 4 points of damage applied to me. They applied cripple. Oh, rev up. What's that? All right. So, 8 points. Okay, so rev up, obviously, is a power-up attack. You can see that damage is going to increase. They've got an injury. Or no, they've got the crippling strikes that they do. He's going to attack her for 7. Let me see here. Grants 3 power when below 22 health. Okay, that's what Last Stand is. And revved up, attacks apply 1 bleed, then reduce revved up by 1. Okay, so they have a certain number of attacks they'll do that'll cause bleed before it goes away. By the way, because I chose a different quest, I've not fought this character before. Let's go with... I can apply more bleed with this. I love applying bleed because you stack that bleed up pretty quickly. There's not a lot of cards that reduce it. So we'll do that. We'll add some more bleed on there. Count of 3. They are powered up because they're hurt. This is a character that does more damage when they're hurt. 4 points of damage there. And we'll do 3 with the elbow. Bang! Alright, that's pretty much what we got. Alright, okay, so he crippled them and caused them to surrender. So it didn't cause the other creature to go away, so we'll have to take it down too. Surrender, or panic, is what they're in now. They don't do anything for a number of turns, and if you attack them, it reduces the number of turns they're in that panic mode. So you sort of want to leave them alone, obviously. Let's go with elbow strike, because an elbow strike always takes out a giant flying flea. I don't know. All right, we'll take him out. Let's see. Stab does 2 to 5. That's not a bad one. Did 3 right in the middle. He's almost at panic point. I think we can do it in the next turn. Oh, no. Did it in that turn. Okay, so I didn't want to kill them. They died because of bleed. And there we go, Bax hates you. So if you kill people, other characters, if they have relationships in the game or are in part of the same group, may end up hating you at that point. And that's what popped up in the lower left. We'll look at it in a second. So these are my Battles 1 items. A new battle card. Texture. Gain 1 power. That's a destroy card, which means you can use it once. And we get battle cards. Let's see, Wild Lunge. That's good. 2 to 8, not bad. Here's the problem. Attacks one random enemy. And you don't necessarily want to kill people, and if you use that late in the game and you attack the wrong guy, you could be in deep shit, especially if you're considered overly violent. So let's look at discard your hand. I'm not a big fan of those. Spin 2 combo. This card deals max damage. That's not too bad. We'll do that. You're starting to get oh, yeah, I already got it because we killed him. So I'm getting a reputation for violence, which means I get a negotiation card called Known Thug. So what this does is it just, first of all, takes up a part in your hand, and then additionally gives out negatives. So you can see now I've got a Bane Shaky 2 max resolve. This is cool. This guy hates you. He's powerful in the game world, so it actually makes your character nervous. I think that's very cool narratively. That really works for me. Plays out. I sort of get it. Wasn't hoping for that, though. So you can see here, again, there's texture. It's in there in those cards. And again, you can filter here. Very important when you're trying to figure out exactly what cards you have in your hand. And especially later on, some quests will allow you to destroy a card. And it can be a little bit vital to know what's in your hand in the midst of the game versus like what you started with or what you think you have. Because you may turn around and want to destroy a card later on. And sometimes, of course, you'll want to destroy those weaker cards so you can use those more powerful cards more often and level them up. There we go. Power, replenish. Unfortunately, that's a destroy after 1 use. I'm not a big fan of those cards. Just the way I play. A lot of people love those, of course. It's just not for me. And there we go. The Known Thug card. I love that. You can see there's no action total for that. That means it doesn't cost anything. It does whatever it does on its own. A little hard to get that to line up. There we go. Target whichever you draw a card. Unplayable, yeah. So you can't play those. And you'll get some crazy cards. You'll get cards that are like, if they're in your hand, when you win the battle, it does a tremendous amount of damage to you. You'll get some really weird ones. All right. So Kadwa has left the party, and we got the job done, and Kadwa will most likely like us now. Yeah, so Kadwa likes us now because we did a job, which... you'll gain some bonuses from some characters who like you, where they'll sometimes help you out if you end up in a battle in their location. And now we can see more spots are open. These progress by day, so you do a certain number of quests, and then the end of your day occurs. Healing has to be done in particular spots. So you can see here on the lower left, you have that ability to see all the various little things that have happened to you in the last couple moments. It'll give you a little indicator, which is nice, especially if you end up getting in a battle and getting a bunch of stuff. Middleman, another day. Let's see. Older and deeper in debt. That's combat and negotiation with a 1 difficulty. Negotiation only. My negotiation's slightly getting low. My battle is not. Let's go to the battlefield. So, oh, nope, we got jumped. You want to buy a Vrock. Real cheap. Never got this one before. Or it's healthy. Okay, so what he's doing is he's offering you the ability to buy a helper. So is it... He said don't ask about it. Okay, so we're not going to be able to ask about this creature at all. So that means we won't be able to see exactly what it is. And I don't want to spend my money. It's 140. No, I have 100. It's 140. You can see that my resolve is sort of down. So yeah, I'll skip that. I want to keep that money just in case I need to buy something that heals resolve later. So trying to go to this battlefield. There we go. So at the battlefields, what you have is the ability to explore, and you can choose 2 types of exploration that get you stuff that do not cause a battle to happen, and then the other, which basically says it causes vulnerability, which can cause you to end up getting in a fight. But we're going to do that because it's a graft. I found it. This is a bandana. It looks like... So, your allies receive 2 power, and you deal damage at +1 damage with this. So that was worth it. Most likely we'll get in a fight after this, because the moment that happens, you're sort of vulnerable, and somebody can sneak up on you. 2 of these duders. Let's take them down. 23 and 16. They only need 16 points of damage to panic them. So we'll most likely focus completely on him. I like to destroy those and just get them out of the way if they're the smaller ones. Let's see. Stabs now 3 to 6 because we're doing +1 power. Ooh, 5, not bad. 4 no matter what. Okay, so he's already, by the next turn, is going to panic and run. Ooh, acid spit of some kind. And a bleed. Unplayable at the end of your turn, take 2 damage. All right. So that ended up jumping in there. So you can see I have some pretty powerful attacks now, and I've got a plus because I've got my bandana on. Spin 2 combo. Don't have any yet. Let's go with... Anyway, see what we do. 7. Still not bad. And he retreated. Now we have 23 points to do to him. We'll just take that damage out. Oh, yeah. All right. Ooh, acid slime. Every turn, 2 random cards in your hand cost 1 more. Okay, so you can see those. So Sal's daggers now cost a full... ooh, wow. That's crazy. All right, so they cost a full more point. Elbow Strike's still doing that +1 of damage. We're going to draw a card here. Oh, there we go. Apply a cripple or apply a bleed. These become, like I said, very valuable in these pretty quickly. So we'll apply a cripple, which means they'll do less damage. And take him here with the elbow strike. I love elbow strike. You've got 2 knives in your hand, and you're like, man, you know what? I'm going to elbow strike. I'm John Jones. Let's go ahead and put some defense in there. So now the defense will be 3. The attack that they're going to do is 2. So it won't hurt us. But it does stack the acidic damage. All of those status effects stack. So here we go. Unplayable. At the end of your turn, take 2 damage. It auto-plays on its own. I can't play it, so I'll just instantly get 2 points of damage from that. And we'll go ahead and sneak attack. Wow, 13 points. We maxed out that. And had the points of damage applied to me. And he hit me. Let's go with... let's just kill him out. There we go. So I do like the system, the panic system, where some characters will panic, some won't, but it's nice. It actually ends up helping out in how you plan your battles. I get a battle card from this. Insert 2 blade flashes. Draw a card, destroy. That's an okay one. You can destroy it to turn it to piercing damage, which ignores everything, or bleed. You guys know me. Well, that one's really powerful. I'm a big fan of the sneak attack. I'm a big fan of bleed as well. The thing is, I have a ton of bleed already, so we'll go ahead and go with that sneak attack. All right, so you're already starting to see you're building up those cards. As you use those cards, like I said, you can start to destroy some that you don't want to use so that you can power up a card itself. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys the system for getting resolve and healing points back as we go further in the game without ending your day. So I wanted to, yeah, you can't pay him off. Thought it was that guy. So you can buy cards here. We'll look at these first. Gain 1 influence, destroy. Gain an action, destroy. The next card played gains 3 XP. You know, I don't really want any of those cards. I got 140 bucks. Money is not necessarily something you run into a lot here unless you attack people's arguments to get cash, like bounties. So when you buy a drink, what this does is it's very cool. It gains 2 bad cards into your negotiation hand if you do drinks. This is slurred speech. It will cost me 2 to destroy it. So it'll continue to eat up slots in my hands as I draw. This one will cause me 1 to destroy it. That will continue to eat up a card slot every time I draw, if that pops up. So, and to destroy it, it ends up doing something. You know, sometimes it doesn't. Those just cost a spot. So you can see my resolve is all the way up. And I'm going to eat whatever this is, a fish cake, which sounds terrible. This will add, I believe it adds something called bloated. Yeah, it adds, so it heals my hit points up and it adds a bloated card. Same thing. It eats up a spot and it costs 2 to get rid of it. It costs 2 to destroy it. But you know what? I've got pretty good cards, so I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to heal up all the way. And I'm going to use that and get bloated again. I think you just get bloated again. Yeah, you do. All right. So now I'm all healed up. but I have some shit cards in my hand. So if we can, and it's a good quest, what we'll try to do is we'll try to get a quest that allows me to destroy a card. I'm not saying we'll get that quest, but that's still a pretty good hand overall. It's not horrible for a starting deck. And some people don't want to play that way. They don't like those. They'd rather go. But the problem is this game has a tendency where you'll be fighting somebody, and once they get a couple arguments in or a couple helpers, it can be rough. So here's another business. This one is negotiation. Ranthak's breath is so rancid you can smell it after he's left the room. All right, let's take a job. I run a little import-export. I find things people want. They pay me accordingly. Oh, a job probably went bad. I assume you'd be paying me well for the ask me no questions vibe. I like how the narrative goes. Very, very simple. In fact, it reminds me a little bit, I don't know any other way to say it, but a little bit like a... Oh, remove a card. There we go. Remove a card from one of your decks. So this is actually quite a useful mission to go on, because you're going to get a starting bonus card just for accepting the mission, as well as destroying a bad card later. Menace. At the beginning of your turn, gain 1 dominance. So that would be a +1 to damage in discussions. Target a random argument. Spend all influence. Repeat this card for every... Okay, so what that does, rapid fire, is you spend a little of your influence, and you'll end up doing a little bit of damage to all the arguments. Erupt. This one only plays when you play 4 hostile cards in a single turn, and that's not insanely easy with your 3 actions. So I think I'll take Menacing Air. This just basically augments all of my threats, which I really like. Again, makes sense when it comes narratively. All right, we'll go to Middleman. We'll start this out. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can take this on. Where is he? There he is. Oh, there she is. I apologize. I like all the character designs. Really well done. A lot of visual imagery going on in the characters when it comes to the roughness of them. They've got a very rough-hewn look. In fact, it does remind me a little bit, like I said, of Banner Saga. You can convince them to pay up. Offer to... Oh, rough them up. I don't want to rough them up because I don't know if somebody will jump in. My resolve is all the way. They're going to do 4, and they've got gains 2 composure whenever a new argument comes out. That's pretty powerful. So they're healing, basically, every time they play an argument card. I'm going to get rid of my shit card right away. Ooh, draw 3 cards. You guys know me. Let's do a little damage. Nah. That... Yeah, we'll do that one first. Debate. Incept, which means when you bring it out, 2 vulnerability. Adds 2 vulnerability. All resolve losses increased by 1 on the enemy. That's a pretty good one. Alright, so now I've given them, basically, this vulnerability, which I really like. You basically have caused them to have an issue, and so when they're talking, they end up not doing as well in their damage. Fast attack. Something like that. Alright, they've got 2 shield and 20 composure. Let's do some damage. Burn that off first. Could have burned it off with fast talk. That's what I should have done. I should have burned it off with fast talk, which did less. That's there was a chance that could have worked out better. That's all right. I mean, you still have the same. It would have just changed the possible tactics, knowing if I needed to do that or not, because I could have also destroyed the guy. Let's look here. Let's just do some damage, some van damage. 3 more. Choose one of your arguments and duplicate it. I don't have any arguments, so we'll skip that. I don't want to do the smart Alec one yet, because I don't want to end up loading up my side with issues. All right, so they're going to do 4. Gain 3 composure, so this would just heal me up. I don't know what this character has. I've never played this character because I didn't do this mission before. You switch missions, so I don't know what they have. So I'm going to load up on defense. 6 defense there, or 6 composure. Added composure. And then do a little damage to them to burn that off. And do a little damage. Not a ton. Alright, there we go. And there are a lot of idiosyncrasies to this that I haven't even learned just playing around with it. There's a lot of different ways people can play. So I'm sure when you're watching me, you're like, oh, I could go a different way. You absolutely could. That's the name of the game is how you want to play it, of course. All right, so they have that shield, so you can tell I'm not going to be doing a ton of damage. Brainstorm. Let's kill that, because they instantly lose 6. So that burned away their shield and did 6 points of damage. So that was useful. Shield. Gain 3 smarts, 2 vulnerability again. Another shield. Let's do those. So that'll make their damage go down to 1. So 1 point of damage, and they got one composure additional for them for bonus. Let's go to... At the beginning of your turn, gain 1 dominance. So again, at the beginning of the turn, this will end up increasing the damage that any of the threatened cards do. Deal 1 resolve to a random target. Interesting. That could be a good guy too, I don't know. Alright, so destroy their shield, do a little damage. And once again, drop their damage down to 1 when they do it. We'll just see if this does any. Oh, it did. Okay, cool. I always feel like I'm going to do 0 whenever I do those, and I do a lot of times. I have a bad luck when it comes to randoms. All right. Ooh, they got another argument there. That is impatience. Intense and arguments deal +1. They deploy with they deploy with +1 resolve. Okay, I see. Those are some good arguments. That's pretty cool. So that changes the way this character sort of plays out. +2 damage for her and +2 for all of the healing ones. It's invulnerable, so you can see you can't attack it. And let's go choose one of the arguments and duplicate it. Don't have any arguments yet. I was seeing if you could do one of their arguments, but unfortunately you can't. All right. Flustered reduces resolve damage by 33, so I could do some damage to them, or cause them to do less damage. Deploy an argument with 2 resolve. There we go. So we've got bait. That means all enemies have to attack it. Now, one thing to remember is I can see what who they're going to attack. They have to attack bait first. Here's the problem: all damage rolls. So if they do more than 6. However, I've got discard, which finally becomes useful, and it doubled that. So now I've got 2. They're only worth 4 points apiece, but the enemies have to attack those before they do any damage to me. Oh, you know what? I didn't need to do that card because shield disappears on its own. I forgot at the end of each turn. So I shouldn't have done that one. All right, so they destroyed it, did a little damage. They're going to do 4 to me. Let's try Brainstorm, see if I get anything cool. Ooh, I did. I can probably destroy him. Oh. Wow. Did crap damage on that. I could try this and just see, and that's 1. All right, they're going to do a full 6. We've got a lot of stuff out. This is where you can see different things. You got to keep track of all this stuff. I'm going to try to take them out and just get it over with. I can gain 2, gain 3. I'm not getting the best cards here. There's that crap card starting to eat away at my choices. I'm going to gain some composure, heal up, and then gain more composure. Oh, yeah. So, gave them, it hit them, but it also gave me 4 on an argument, which is cool. All right. Oh, man, did not get the best cards here. Got 1 for 1, which I can use right now. Didn't need to use the other card. Don't know why I did. There we go. All right, so we got a negotiation card upgrade here. And you can sort, but we'll just click it. Threaten is the card that can be upgraded. Mirrored Threaten. Play this card twice. So that means minimum damage it would do is 2. Maximum is still 4, though. And then the other is gain 1 dominance, which would mean that all of your threatened cards from that point on in that turn do a +1 to damage. So I think I'll do that one. That's a pretty good card for a basic upgrade. It's not even really that good of a card, but it's an okay card for a basic upgrade. Choose negotiation, spin 2 influence, deal 4 damage. Double your influence at the end of your turn, calling in favors. I love that. Again, narratively, it sort of makes sense. And then calm, apply 3 composure to all your arguments. That is an insanely powerful card, to be honest. That means if I'd put bait out and then played the bait duplicate card, I would have had 2, and then I could have applied this, and all of those would have been at 5, so you're soaking up at minimum 10, if not more damage, depending on what arguments you have out. So very useful there. All right, and we'll go turn that quest in here. Yeah, I really like the way everything just plays out. Very simple to understand. There we go. Finish middleman. He'll probably like me. Paid me $60. Yep. Grunjax likes me. Gains $60 for it as well. Oh, and I can remove a card. This is one of the things I talked about. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this crap card here so it doesn't pop up in negotiation. Gain 3 bargaining. Gain bargaining. That's an interesting one. So if you pay 100 shills, he starts to love you, and the bonus he gets you is that it will be 10% discount on stores. Go ahead and do that. All right. So now we're besties. Now we're best friends. What that also indicates is that that character at different times might do other stuff for you. It's very cool. Again, narratively, it's all packed together. So I think for now, that's a good place to cut it off. Like I said, this is actually quite an enjoyable game. There isn't a lot here, I will say. The most I got was to second or third day. Actually, I think it was second day. There is, from what I understand, at least a third day. Each day ends with a boss that you fight, and you get to choose one of 2 ways to go at the end. So that's pretty cool, but it would take a lot longer than this hour. When it comes down to it, with all those decisions that you have, all those different battle tactics that you have, as well as the different ways in which you can fight, and the narrative, I really like that. I do have to say there it does seem like it's definitely not a game that's really got a lot of longevity to it, at least right now. You do have some really cool cards, some cool upgrades. I would certainly suggest, if it were me, that you wait to see what they add later, because this is in an alpha state right now. You can jump into it if you want, and if you want to support them, because I know a lot of people are fans of these guys, despite what's happened here at the starting of the release for this title, and there were some issues with how it was released and how it got rolled out. But when it comes down to it, it is an enjoyable title, and I like the core base mechanics to it. There's some things that could certainly be fixed. I would love for the tutorials to actually cover a little bit more when it comes to battle and negotiation, because it doesn't really cover a lot of the more advanced techniques. Well, not even really the advanced ones, but it doesn't really cover some of the more step-by-step moments. Also, it would be really nice to be able to, in some way, see a quick glossary of all the terms and what the terms overall mean, because you can still see that when you go to a card, but a card may only have 1 or 2 of the, 10, 12 terms that are in the game. I just think those would be quality of life improvements that the game could work out. So anyway, that's it for me. ACG Unrated. I hope you guys liked it. These are, like I said, not reviews of titles, but sitting down and discussing a title as I go through the starting elements and try to describe some of what's going on there. Of course, I'm sure I probably made a mistake or two. There's a couple different rules there and how they work, and you really got to keep an eye on it. Like I said, if you chose the slow function for the card draws for the enemies, it still is insanely fast. So you got to really watch exactly what's going on and understand. It took me 2 or 3 times to even get the gist of how some of the arguments work, because there's so many arguments at times. You'll get a character that's got 4 or 5 arguments that have what appear to be cross purposes, and you really have to watch close and understand when you can use a card on the enemy's arguments versus your own, what random really means, because sometimes random will mean random for everybody on the screen, you or the enemy, and other times it apparently just means random when it comes to yours, but it won't say one of your random arguments on a couple of the cards. There are a couple reports also of some cards having a couple little mistakes, grammar-wise on them. But anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. You can always follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and you become a patron on the Patreon website, where you can continue to help me give you guys reviews and these kind of videos and walking the walks that aren't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap. If you get a chance, you can also follow me on iTunes or Anchor. You can look me up, ACG Gaming Podcast. You'll see us there. That's where the ACG International podcasts, that's where random podcasts go up, and I currently just did a video on episodic gameplay. in games and what it can learn from TV shows that are done well. For example, right now I'm breaking down Stranger Things episode by episode, and what we learn from a TV show that's done well, or at least critically, I know some of you probably don't like it, but critically is done well, and how those can be fleshed out into games and see those improvements in storytelling and so forth. So anyway, that's it for me. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.